Welcome to an exclusive on Capital TV with Equity Bank CEO Dr. James Mwangi, following his very momentous win of the Ernst & Young Global Entrepreneur Award. He's here with us and he's going to tell us a little bit more about what it meant to him as a CEO and as a global leader here in Africa. Dr. Mwangi, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
Now, you had a strong field to contend against 59 finalists from 51 countries. How did you get to the forefront?
It was, as lightly said, a very coveted and very contested position. But Equity and basically myself had two main advantages. That moving from a developing world, we had overcome greater obstacles to reach where we reached than anybody else who was in the contest. The second one is the great and extensive work Equity has done in impacting communities, particularly the Wings to Fly, the FICA program on financial literacies, the transformation of peasant agricultural communities to small-scale commercial farmers, and having 8 million people who were previously unbanked joining and being mainstream in banking. That had not been easily seen. The second biggest, where we think we were better than anybody else, is global impact. The fact that I serve on the G20 advisory board on inclusive finance. I serve on the Bill and Melinda Gates advisory board, again on inclusive finance. The fact that I've served on the UN advisory board on inclusive finance showed that Equity, it has global impact beyond the continental influence. And that was the fact that you could be shaping the global agenda on finance, again, then made us a very significant global player.
You mentioned that you were really driven by the desire to see people bank and really tapping into that bottom of the pyramid. Equity Bank has really championed that. Is there any plans to maybe diversify into the upmarket, possibly?
Thank you very much. Poverty will not always be with us. Naturally, as economies grow, we see the lives and livelihoods of people being transformed. Equity cannot stick on a model that ceases to be relevant. So as we see change in society, as we see affordability, as we see needs changing, Equity will keep on changing with the lifestyle and the needs of the people. So we'll see, for instance, we started with the basic savings account, basic consumer loans, but we are now moving more to wealth creation. We are seeing that the focus now is building and supporting SMEs who are corporatizing to try and make them become the wealth generators in our continent. We are seeing products like insurance becoming very relevant because people now have acquired assets. They need to secure those assets. So we've become a big insurance agent and broker in the country. We are seeing advisory services like investment banking becoming necessary because while entrepreneurs are making it and becoming medium enterprises, the capability and the competencies are not matching the growth of the enterprises. So we are seeing those services becoming necessary. We started in rural areas. We went to the suburbs. We are now more focused on the central business district. If you look recently, we opened a branch in Kalen, we're opening a branch in Lavington, Hurlingham, Muthaiga, simply because people have moved and we need to move with them where they are. When you go to Lavington or Muthaiga, you find the services are completely different because the user is very different from the customer. So that evolution, we are seeing it. The bank is becoming more inclusive.
Keeping on this theme for the youth, new media, we have social media and they're increasingly using these platforms to communicate. What is Equity Bank doing to engage them, say on Twitter, on Facebook?
Equity recognizes that 60% of the Kenyan population is below the age of 25. And consequently, we must find a channel and medium of connecting with them. The first thing we have rolled out is YouTube, such that we can engage on our YouTube. The second we have launched is a Twitter site to support the YouTube so that we can have communication. We're now looking at creating a Facebook. We are looking at creating a blog that enables dialogue between, so that we can remain engaged with this new population. So we appreciate, recognize, and realize that we have to use social media as a means of communication. We're also creating alliances with those who have done well in that area, like Capital, and then says, can we link and use this channel to communicate to this segment of our population.
Dr. Mwangi, you're very instrumental in the country's blueprint, Vision 2030, Chairman of the Delivery Board. Just let us know some of the things that we can look forward to as far as being on track and getting to where we need to as far as the blueprint.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm very privileged to share the country's Vision 2030 Delivery Board. As you're aware, this is the aspiration of the Kenyan people, of the society that they want to have by the year 2030. We are on track, particularly in building up on the political wing. We now see the new constitution in place. We're seeing the reforms that we expected in the judiciary taking place. We're seeing the political reforms that we envisaged now coming into fruition with this election. We'll have a devolved government. We'll have separated judicial, executive, and legislature. We are seeing the social intent of uplifting the standard of living of the Kenyan people has now been institutionalized within our constitution. And so the main focus now is funding this transformation. And the economic pillar have now taken center stage. And we are seeing that to engage and integrate the private sector in the development of this country, we needed to enable the private sector to do that. And the enablers is what we have focused on. A stable microeconomic environment. We know at the moment we are suffering from the external shocks that we are seeing volatility in our foreign currency. We are seeing a high inflation. We are seeing high interest rates. But we believe this is temporary. And we can see stability in one way or another. Inflation is declining, exchange rate is stabilizing, and growth is being sustained at near 5%. So essentially that creates an environment that the private sector can bankroll the vision. And all that we needed to do was to give the private sector infrastructure. And we are really happy when we see what is happening to the roads, the railways, the ports, energy, telecommunication. That is going on very, very well. The country has also enhanced prospecting of mineral wealth so that these can finance the rollout of the infrastructure. Once the infrastructure is complete, we are witnessing a huge move where global brands like General Electric, IBM are relocating their sub-Saharan Africa in Nairobi. And this is what then will create the enabling environment that will allow employment opportunities to be created for the Kenyans and wealth to be created within the country, and in the process transform our country. So I would say we are on track. President Kibaki has laid a very solid foundation that almost has become irreversible. So future governments will just build on this strong foundation. And I have no doubt, like the World Bank and African Development Bank have said, Kenya is likely to emerge a middle-income economy before 2020. So by 2030, we will most likely have moved from a middle income to an upper middle income or even a developed economy.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Mwangi. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you.
And that does it for Dr. Mwangi. He's joined us and given us an insight into his plans and future for Equity Bank, and we wish him the best. Thank you for joining us. I'm Victoria. We do.